Many people have oohed and awed at museum exhibits, but some don't realize the work it takes to put on a historical display. For this week's In Focus, Jamil Doneth takes us behind the scenes with the designer of the Baskets and Beads exhibit at the Beltrami County History Center.
Displays of finely woven baskets and beaded belts, bags, and other trinkets are carefully placed in brightly lit cases.
That cedar mat is so stunning.
But this exhibit of Native American weaving techniques doesn't come together on its own. Exhibit designer Nicole Foss is the artist behind these artifacts.
They're arranged to inspire like the maximum amount of awe. You know, you walk up to something and it's like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I have no idea how they made this.
Foss spent months researching, writing, and arranging beads and baskets from different tribes all over the country into one exhibit that not only wows but inspires.
We really hope that people look at the different diagrams that show the techniques, maybe learn some of the terms that are used.
An exhibit designer's job has many challenges. It's not just a matter of arranging items to look pretty. Foss has to tell a true story with very little words, oftentimes with very little facts to start.
A lot of the items, when they get donated, we don't have really specific dates for when they were made, so we do research on each item.
With so many different weaving techniques, Foss says she had to think outside the artifacts to explain how weaving works.
My main goals for this exhibit was to illustrate how the different techniques were done, because I think that's really important for people's understanding.
There are 4 variations of weaving with beads here at the exhibit. The first one is weaving on a loom, and the 3 other techniques are all off-loom beading techniques. We look at the first one, which is the peyote stitch, which is stitching on one continuous thread, and then the netting technique, which is very similar to the peyote stitch, but it has a more lacy, looser appearance. And then the most complex of those 3 would be the bias weave.
There's a huge variety. We're just scratching the surface, really.
To get a grasp of how much information Foss had to wrap her head around, a few months ago she knew very little about Indian basket and bead weaving. Now she can easily show and tell the 3 basketry techniques off the top of her head.
Plaiting is just sort of the over and under, you know, and then twining, you're more sort of twisting the materials, and then with coiling you have sort of a main bundle of materials that you're then wrapping another strand around.
So if you ever come see the Baskets and Beads exhibit, or any exhibit for that matter, now you know history doesn't narrate itself. It needs a little artistic assistance. For this week's In Focus, Jamil Doneth, Lakeland News.
Many of the artifacts in the exhibit are from local area tribes and were donated to the Historical Society for display.